Good morning, this is May Valensky with Driving Markets. Hope you're all well. Okay, so there's a hell of a lot to talk about today. Obviously, I've got to give a caveat that anything said on this particular YouTube broadcast and Instagram is just an opinion. Let's move on. Okay, wow, there's a hell of a lot to talk about. So the main factor, as I've said for several days now, on the agenda is the geopolitical system and the geopolitical crisis that's going on between Russia and Ukraine, and that is frightening markets. Let's just have a quick run through of what is happening. First of all, the most obvious one and the one that stands out like a sore thumb is the price of oil. The price of oil jumped yesterday to nearly $107 a barrel before falling back to just below $105 a barrel, which is a massive increase. Yesterday, oil jumped 11% in one day on the fear factor, the supply factor, the fact that Russia and Ukraine are oil producers, energy producers, etc. That also followed through to things like gas and other energy supplies. So the energy sector across the board in Europe and the US and the UK jumped dramatically on the back of oil hitting $106 a barrel. I've been saying all along that oil is going to go above $100 a barrel, but I did not say it on the basis of the Russia-Ukraine crisis. I said it on the back of supply and demand factors and purely that. However, the geopolitical system has shunted that forecast, which I made a few months ago, but has shunted that forecast up now, where a few months ago I would have thought it would have hit around about the June time. It's hit already in the beginning of March. So oil is going to push inflation all the way up. As I said yesterday to one of my viewers and a friend of mine, I said very, very clearly, I said you can expect inflation this year to be running at 15-20%. What would happen to interest rates? So I said that interest rates would probably be 7%. He said absolutely not in a million years. Okay, 7% is a bit wild, but I do believe they're going to be much higher than 2.5%. I think the central banks have a major problem. They've got the fear of destroying the economy. On the other hand, they've got the fiery furnace of inflation, which is raging and is obviously being exacerbated by the fact that you've got the Russian and Ukraine crisis. So looking at the markets, all energy sectors went up. The banking sector has been hammered, and generally markets yesterday were pummeled. They were completely hammered across the board. So, and the trend, as I said all the time since the beginning of January, the trend is down. The trend is down. Doesn't matter how many bounces you have during the day, the trend is down. We are going into a bear market. However, look at cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies shot up yesterday. Unbelievable. I mean, you're talking about Bitcoin, I think went up something like 17% or something like that. I can't remember the number, but you've got all the cryptos shooting up. Listen to this on cryptos. Listen very carefully. What happens if Russia puts all of its money now into Bitcoin or other cryptos? What will the US and the Europeans do? Now, if that was to happen, think about this theory. If that was to happen and America and Europe would sanction cryptos, where would Bitcoin be? Bitcoin would be worthless. It'll drop down to about $100 a coin. Be aware of that. If that was to happen, and it's only a theory, it's not fact, it's only my theory, that if Russia was to now take its resources that are sanctioned and put them into Bitcoin, which no one can see the owner of those coins, but it would come out that Russia is buying Bitcoin somehow, what would happen to Bitcoin or the other cryptos? Very, very important point. Pay attention to that point. Let's move on to a couple of other things. The US Treasury yield dropped yesterday over 16 basis points to 1.70. That's the US Treasury 10-year. That means the price has shot up. The price has shot up because people are so nervous, investors are so nervous that they're buying US Treasuries. They're buying US Treasuries because that's considered a safe haven. The dollar strengthened. You can look at the yen and obviously gold. Gold is going to go above $2,000 an ounce, in my opinion. Look at gold. Gold is a safe haven, and silver, gold especially, it's going to go above $2,000 a ounce. That's also going to impact on inflation because gold is used across the board on many items. I was going to say every item, but many items that we use on the chip boards and the semiconductor boards and within iPhones and within general everyday use, gold is used. Okay, besides the normal retail use of buying jewelry, gold is used across the board. So you'll find that gold prices are going to go up significantly. Corn, wheat and all other grains shot up yesterday, also between 5 and 8%. And in the Chicago Exchange, there was a limit up put in place. That means that they couldn't go higher. They'd gone up so high that the automatic trading system put a block on them going any higher. So there is an undercurrent of price rises within the grain sector, the commodity sector. The commodities have done amazingly in the last few days in terms of energy and grains. But that also is going to cause a concern all the way through to the retail sector, because we're talking about wheat, barley, corn and other grains that are used across the board by the world's population. So Russia and Ukraine are huge producers of grains, and because that could be impacted, then the price of grains have shot up, which I've been saying also for a few days. Look at grains, okay? You've got the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, reporting today to Congress. That could add further volatility to the market based on his outlook. I very doubt it, though. It's highly unlikely that he's going to say something unusual or extreme, because he doesn't want to frighten the markets anymore. There's already enough volatility. That's more or less it, because I've finished my 6-7 minutes. You can contact me on LinkedIn. You can subscribe. You can like. You can comment. You can send me messages on WhatsApp. I send this on WhatsApp groups. I send it on YouTube. This is Meir Volensky with Driving Markets. Be careful. Have a good day, and let's pray for Ukraine.